You can draw this in Procreate, or actually you can paint it. We are going to have some fun with watercolor painting brushes in Procreate and create this lovely landscape with a mountain. There's no need for perfect strokes in this case. We are going to keep it messy and impressionistic. I'm going to break it down in easy steps so I'm sure you can follow. And then I hope that once you are finished that you will share your result with me, because I always enjoy browsing through all the tutorial results. It's great to see how every piece is unique. So you can tag me on Instagram in the image, not just in the description. So that way I'll be browsing through your work as well. But now for this tutorial. The canvas we're working on is 2300 pixels by 3000 pixels. We are working with brushes that are already in Procreate, but also some brushes that are part of the treasure chest brush pack. So in case you don't already have it, please go to freefromflow.com to get it. It's totally free. I have also linked a color palette in the description, so you can use the same colors as I'll be using during this video. And then if you are ready, let's get started. We are going to start by creating a light wash for our sky. And we'll be using the first color in the first row for that. And for the brush, we will use the wash brush, which you can find in the water section. The opacity of the brush is at 100% and the size is at 20%. And let's add some blue at the top. Very gently, don't lift your pen. Create a nice wash here. Now you can lift it and then add some more, making it a bit more opaque, gently building it up. And then below that, we will also add a little touch of yellow with the second color in the first row. And let's place that on top here for some nice warmth. And if you want to adjust this wash a little bit, what you can do is tap and hold the smudge tool and it'll switch to the wash brush. And I have the opacity at 60%, the size at, well, let's go for 30. And then you can go over and blend it a bit, move the colors around, and still get that nice watercolor washy texture. Next, we'll make a new layer on top of this one. We'll tap the plus, and we are going to make use of the selection tool to get a nice crisp edge for the mountain we'll create. So let's go to the selection tool, that's the S-shaped ribbon, and set it to freehand. And I will start about here, and we will make a jagged line upward here. Nice pointy part. And then down here, and you can loop around like this, closing the selection like this. Then we'll grab a brush. This time let's use the water bleed brush, and for our color let's use this one, third color in the first row. The opacity of the brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to maybe 45, and let's go along the edges here. And I'm not lifting my pen very often, and that way you can blend the paint on your canvas. We'll go along the edges, smearing that paint around, and try making some parts a little bit darker and some a little bit lighter, more smudged. Let's also add another color, this one, fourth color in the first row, for a nice warm touch on our mountain. Let's just add a bunch of paint like this. And then let's grab our smudge tool, which is still set to the wash brush. Let's see what happens when we make it a little bit smaller, 15%. And then let's smudge some parts, make it nice and watery. Something like this looks good. Then let's go to our brushes. Let's go to the treasure chest brush pack. In case you don't already have it, go to freefromflow.com to get it for free. And let's grab a watercolor brush. Where is it? Over here, our round watery brush. And let's go back to that dark blue, third color in the first row. The opacity of this brush is at 100% and the size is at 7. And let's just refine the edges a bit more. Adding some mountain-like texture by creating some diagonal lines along these pointy parts. And with this brush as well, if you keep it on the screen, then you can blend on the canvas, and every time you lift it, you will get some new paint. Just some random little squiggles. Maybe a little bit darker here at the top. And this will be more like an impressionistic watercolor painting, so you don't need a whole lot of details. We just want the impression of a mountain here. Let's add a bit more of that brownish color, fourth color in the first row. Add a little bit of that over here, a little bit more saturation. Maybe we can also add a few touches of white. And I found out that there's a great brush to do that. And it's actually the water pen under calligraphy. I found out that it's actually pretty nice for watercolor paintings. So let's use this. The opacity, you can set that at 100%. Let's play around with the size, maybe 4%. Let's see. Maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe we can go for 15. And then let's set the color to white. We can just double tap here to grab white. Now with real watercolors, you wouldn't be able to paint with white. But we are working digitally, so we can cheat a little bit. Let's add a few touches of white. Maybe here on that ridge. Maybe there is a little bit of snow. I think it adds some nice extra details. Maybe over here, there's a bigger part of snow. And with real watercolors, you would just have to leave this a blank in the first place and not paint over it. But in this case, with Procreate, we can work the other way around. Maybe a little touch here. And then let's just use that smudge tool and just blend it a little bit. Let's make it a bit smaller, 5%. Make it a bit more blended. Push it back a little bit. I think this looks nice. Now let's turn off our selection tool by tapping the S-shaped ribbon. And now you can see how we have a lovely crisp edge. Let's grab our brush again and let's go back to our round watery brush. Now let's go to recent brushes at the top, grab the round watery, and then for our color, we'll grab this one. Fifth color in the first row. And we are going to make like a hilly shape in front here. Add some green. Let's not lift our pen and just color this in. And we don't have to go all the way to the side because there will be some bushes and trees. Then when you lift it, you can make more opaque strokes. Because like I said, every time you lift your pen, you will charge your pen with new paint. Something like this looks fine. And you can grab the smudge tool again to soften the lower edge, for instance. But you will still keep that watercolor look. Now in front of this, I would like to add some trees. And to do that, let's go to our treasure chest brush pack again. And let's go down here and grab the pine trees brush. And then for the color, let's grab the sixth color in the first row. Opacity of the brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to 6%. And then let's add a bunch of trees here, just like this. And of course, this doesn't look very watercolory, but we can just grab our smudge tool again, go over there and make it smudgy and watery. Let's make the brush a bit bigger, 12%. I don't want to go all the way over the edges. I want to keep some detail there. Just fade the bottom a bit like this. This way, when you go from the bottom to the top, you can lighten it a bit. And this way you could also make layers of trees. You could go back to your brush, add some more trees, then go back to the smudge tool and smudge the lower part again. So you get a nice edge of slight detail. And then let's go back, grab another brush. We can go to the top to recent brushes again. And let's grab our round watery brush. Let's stick with this green. And let's make like a shoreline. We're going to add water here later. This is like the edge of the water. We can make some nice blobs. Maybe there are some bushes here. Make a nice, pretty crisp, dark edge here at the bottom. So every time you lift your pen, you can make it a bit darker, gently building up the details. And we can also introduce some more color variety. Let's grab this color, for instance, 7th color, the first row. It's a dark bluish color, but I think it will look nice in this tree area. We can add some small touches, blend the colors on the canvas. And we can also use our water pen and add some crisper details, maybe some pointy tops of trees, just creating an upward little line and then a zigzaggy line down. And then, of course, in between, you can always grab the smudge tool and blend it in a bit. Let's also use the round watery brush again. You can also use that to subtly blend a bit, adding this extra color at the bottom, but at the same time mixing the colors on the canvas a bit. I also want to introduce some warm colors here. Let's, for instance, grab this one, 6th color in the 2nd row. Let's add some brownish touches here close to the shore. Just some little dabs. Now that we have our mountain and our trees, we are going to move towards the foreground. And we'll make a new layer for that. We'll tap the plus in the layer menu. And first, I just want to lay down a gentle wash. Let's use the round watery for that. And let's stick with this color and make the brush a bit bigger, maybe 30%. I'd like some bushy shape in front here. And I also like a tree going up here. You can see I'm making these rounded motions by not lifting my pen. I just want the general shape of this area. If you want to go a little bit darker, you can lift your pen. So this is just the underground. And over here, I also want some rocks near the water's edge. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller, perhaps 16%. So we can make that general shape. Let's go a little bit lower, maybe here. Maybe, no, just a little bit higher here. Or did I just move to the same place? I don't know. But it's a quite a long, high area, and here we have some space for water. Here another rocky shape. And another one here. So this is a very general shape, just a base of color. And now let's also add a little bit of green. Let's grab the second color in the second row. Let's add some green over here. Little dabs, lifting your pen every once in a while. Just introducing some color variety here now. Also over here, a little bit of green. I also want some brighter yellow and orange. Let's grab this color, third color in the second row. And let's add that here. In front of our trees. Also a bit over here. You can see how we are slowly building up the opacity here. There's a little bit over here. And then let's switch to this color, fourth color in the second row. For some darker orange. A few touches also over here. Next, I'd like to go to the inking brushes, also Procreate standard brushes, and use the Tinderbox brush over here. And for our color, let's use this one, sixth color in the first row. And we are going to use this brush to create some watery pine trees. The opacity of this brush is at 100% and the size is at 30. And then let's start here pretty high up. Let's make a line down. And then let's make some zigzaggy motions here. And going wider as we move down. And leave some gaps in between. And this one can be a little bit higher. Line going down. And then zigzaggy motions and leaving gaps in between. Maybe also some dabs over here. Then let's add some more color. Let's grab this lighter green, second color in the second row, and go on top, adding some variety. And then let's grab the smudge tool. It's set to the wash brush. I think it might be nice to set it to the round watery brush. Let's grab that. And then let's go over this lower area and blend it a bit with the rest. Let's make the brush a bit smaller, 12%. And just make the lower part a bit more watery. We can also add a little bit here at the top, just some dabs. And then let's do something similar for this tree. In this case, I'd like to use another brush that, what was it called again? Yeah, the water pen. I have it here under recent. If you have recently used it, you can just go to recent at the top. And then for the color, I'd like to start with this one, fourth color in the second row. And I'd like to create some random little dabs here, blobs of paint. Giving that suggestion of leaves here. And some are a bit smaller. So over here, sometimes you can leave your pen on the screen and make a bigger blob. Then let's switch to the darker color, fifth color in the second row. And add some of these darker little blobs on top. Then let's go back to the round watery brush, and I want a brownish color. let's use this one actually. First color in the second row. Now let's go over this area a bit. Adding some like shadow touch there. And then let's go back to the water pen and let's stick with this color. Let's make the brush a bit smaller, maybe 5%. Let's see. Maybe a little bit bigger actually. Let's just stick with 10. And now let's make some of these tree trunks. There's these wiggly lines. A few side branches. And the harder you press, the thicker your line will become. You can make this one a little bit thicker. All right, then let's move on to the rocks. Let's use the round watery brush for that again. And let's check the size. Let's make it a bit smaller. 5%. And then let's refine these rocks a bit more. So let's go over the underside. Make that a bit darker than the top side. And over here we have another rock. This one in the water. So just going over the bottom part first. And a little bit over the top here. Keeping these shapes pretty simple. Let's also use some brown. The sixth color in the second row. Let's add some touches of that to our rocks. Here at the top. And maybe some touches here in this bushy area. Just some blobs at this little rock. And then let's also add some more green. Let's grab this color again, sixth color in the first row. Let's add that over here for some more bushy shapes. And with this round watery brush, you can make these nice watery, more soft shapes. And when you go to that water pen, you can get some more crisp, edged, more like detailed brush strokes in. So this brush is nice for a base, and then we can switch to that water pen and then add those crisper little details, crisper blobs on top. Let's also grab this green, second color in the second row. Let's use that over here. This way you can slowly build that up. Let's also grab that brown color, first color in the second row. We can also use this brush to detail the rocks a bit more. Go along the undersides again. Here along that edge, maybe that's a dark area. Maybe some little dabs on the soil. Just try to keep it loose. Don't overthink it too much. We have this underside, this little rock. And then let's also use white again. Let's double tap here, grab white, and add some smaller touches, like light edges on the rocks where the light would be hitting. Over here as well. This little rock. And also maybe some branches. Just highlights of branches. Some white dabs here and along this branch. That will nicely make it stand out. Just a few little dabs. I think this looks nice. Maybe a few over here as well. Next, let's make another piece on the left side. Let's make a new layer for that again. Let's tap the plus. And let's start out very basic again with the round watery brush. And let's grab a color. Let's start with some green. Second color in the second row. And over here, I'd like some bushes. Let's make the brush a bit bigger. 28% or somewhere around that number. Here we'll have some bushes. And we can go over here as well, just for a base. Let's also grab this color, fifth color in the first row. Nice grayish color, because here, or bluish, I want some rocks. Then let's grab this color, first color in the second row, that dark brown. Let's make the brush a bit smaller, 15%. And I'd like a tree here, a long tree all the way up and back down. Let's make it a bit darker here at the bottom. And now let's make the brush even a bit smaller, 10%, to refine this area of rocks a bit more. So something like this with an extra rock here. A little bit of shadow here. It's like a big heap of rocks with some bushes on top here. Let's also grab some orangey colors, fourth color in the second row. I'd like some warm touches here, just like on the left side. There are some leaves here. So right now I'm just making these wiggly shapes, lifting my pen every once in a while to get some fresh paint. And as we move up, let's move to this color. Fourth color in the first row. Let's add some warmer touches. Well, not warmer than that, but still warm touches. Make the brush a bit bigger, 28%. And some nice blobs here. Let's also add some greens with this one. Second color in the second row. And again, just some little blobs. Touches of color. And let's add more here as well. Next, let's grab our water pen again so we can create more detail. And let's start with our tree trunk. Let's grab this color again, first color, second row. And then let's go along that trunk, giving it more a refinement. And we can also use the smudge tool, make that side a bit softer, a little bit more washy. Then back to the brush, we can use light pressure and create some branches. Very jagged shapes, very random. Very thin, using very light pressure here. And let's also add some leafy shapes. Let's start with this color, second color in the second row. And just like we did on the right side, make some random shapes close to those branches. I think that looks really nice. And let's also do that with the warmer colors, like this one, fourth color in the second row. So just short little dabs. Close to the trunk here. You can also add some more green. Let's also use this one, sixth color in the first row. Now, if you are enjoying this process, if you enjoy painting landscapes, then I think you will also like the tutorial that I shared earlier this week at Patreon, in which we also create a lovely looking landscape with Painterly techniques. So do be sure to check that out. I also really enjoyed seeing all the results from my patrons, from all the tutorials that we did in the last couple of weeks. Over here, let's make some grass shapes, just some thin lines, just some random stuff that looks like detail. Trying to vary the color a bit. Let's also grab this one, second color in the second row. For some more little blobs, more grass. And in between, you can always grab that smudge tool and go over either with that round watery or with the wash brush. And to get that watery look. That's a bit too much. You can always make it smaller, 5%. And go in there to soften some parts. Maybe over here a little bit, more like a wash. Then back to the brush. Let's keep using the water pen. Let me add some new leaves over here. And then let's focus on those rocks. Let's grab this color, sixth color in the second row. And let's add some brownish color. Let's first actually use the round watery brush. And let's make it smaller. 10%. Add some more color variety here. A few touches of brown. And then let's grab this color. First color, second row, our dark brownish color. First, I want to add some darker touches on this rock. And in between, grab that smudge tool, soften it if it's needed, and then continue, go back to your brush and slowly build it up. And just keep it loose. It's not a realistic painting. It needs some character, so don't worry too much about your shapes. Just a nice way of letting go of perfectionism and just having fun with these paints. Then for the crisper edges, we'll go back to the water pen and then just go along some of these edges and defining these rocks some more. Also this one. Maybe some wiggles over here. And let's also use white again. Let's double tap here, grab white, and add some light touches. For instance, along this bark and along some of these rocks. a few touches here in our bushes. For our last step, we are going to add the water and complete our scene. All right, let's make a layer on top of our first layer here. Let's tap the plus, and then let's use the round watery brush again. And then for our color, let's start with this one, or maybe this one. No, this one. 7th color in the first row. Let's make the brush a bit bigger, 35%. And let's add some of this bluish touch over here. Let's make horizontal strokes. And everything should be darker right underneath those rocks. There's a shadow there. Let's add some here. And just keep making these horizontal motions. Also over here. Keeping that center area a bit lighter. I also want to add some warm touches because those bushes and everything, they are reflecting on the water. Let's start with this one, 3rd color in the 2nd row. Let's add some of that here. Perhaps a little bit here. Then let's switch to this color, 4th color in the 2nd row. Add some darker, warmer touches. And then let's switch to greens. Let's grab this one, 2nd color in the 2nd row. Reflecting those trees here. Also a little bit here. Then let's switch to this color again, 7th color in the 1st row. I want some darker blues here. So I'm lifting my pen more often to make it more opaque. Also over here. And also some more blue here. Let's also grab the lighter blue, this one, 3rd color in the 1st row. And perhaps a bit of this one, 1st color in the 1st row. You can add that here. At the top. Nice light touch. Then let's also grab our water pen and let's actually use that here as well. Let's grab that white, double tap here. Add a lighter touch here near that edge, and then just grab the smudge tool to soften it. And we can do that everywhere. You can just use that smudge tool with the wash brush to get a softer effect. And let's go back to the brush here. We need some more reflection. Let's grab that dark blue again. And let's go underneath this rock. I actually wanted to use the other brush, but this is fine as well. We can just go to the smudge tool and then soften it. But yeah, let's actually just use the round watery brush again. I like that a bit more. Let's grab a dark green, 6th color in the 1st row, so we can make a reflection of those trees here. Let's make the brush smaller, 10%. Make these vertical lines. And then grab that smudge tool again and soften it a bit. And let's also add with our brush a bit more yellows. Let's grab this one again, 3rd color in the 2nd row. Add a bit of those yellow touches. I like that for our water. Overall, I think this looks pretty good. Let's grab our water pen again and grab white. So double tap here. And then let's add some lighter touches with some horizontal strokes. Also along the rocks. And this will give it that water effect with these light reflections. Also here along the rock. Vary the thickness a bit. Maybe some more over here. I think this looks good. Now I just feel like the sky might be a bit too blue. Maybe we need to smudge that a bit more. Let's go to layer 1, grab our smudge tool. Let's make it a bit bigger, 17%. And let's just go over here and push that yellow up a little bit. Now let's introduce some white by pushing that in. Maybe make the brush a bit smaller, 10%. This gives a bit more of a cloudy feel. Now finally, for a final touch, something that I like to do is merge these layers. Now if you don't want to merge them because you are afraid that you might want to change something later, then I would suggest just duplicating them. You can slide to the right, selecting them all. Then I like to group them, close the group like this, then slide to the left, tap duplicate, then turn this one off, tap this new one and use flatten. And then what I like to do is make this one a little bit smaller. We'll go to the move and transform tool. Make sure you set it to uniform and then make your painting a little bit smaller like this. Then we'll go back to the layer, tap it and add a layer mask. Then for our brush, let's use the water pen and we'll set our color to black. You can double tap here to grab black. And then what you can do is go along the edges and make it a little bit wonky and wobbly. And then give it that, that authentic look, authentic edge, a little bit more messy. Go along here. And I think that gives it a nice extra touch. And that's it for our watercolor project. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for watching.